You, yes, you, are complacent with genocide. You, just like almost everyone else in our current society, is okay with letting genocide happen just because it doesn't directly affect them. They're okay with millions of people being murdered, deported, imprisoned, just because it doesn't directly affect them because they can't directly see it. Throughout this video, I'm going to give a brief synopsis of all the reasons, all the things that we need to be, some of the biggest things that we need to be fighting for. Some of the reasons why you, and almost everyone else, is being complacent with genocide. First of all, there's going to be a genocide in the United States of America very soon. If we don't correct our paths, genocide's likely going to happen. And it's going to happen to trans people. They're already at step 8 out of 10 in the Holocaust Museum chart. 8 out of 10. The only 2 steps we haven't directly implemented so far is actually doing it and then covering it up. Genocide is always preceded by many other things, usually social things, like discrimination and classifications, of which I've gone in more detail in a previous video. They're already as well implementing a lot of the same tactics as the Nazis in conflating like 3 people to mean an entire population, saying that these 3 killers mean that the entire trans population is now killers. Same thing the Nazis did. They said that these few Jewish people being killers meant that all Jewish people are now killers. They're doing the same exact tactics as the Nazis. We cannot let this stand, or there will be genocide happening. Not only are we being complacent with genocide, we're being complacent with slavery. Slavery is still alive, and it is here in our country today, in the year 2023. It's alive. All you gotta do is check Amendment 13. It's illegal unless it's being used for punishment. This loophole has existed ever since 1865. That's how we got chain gangs and convict leasing. They just transitioned it. Now it's into mass incarceration. It's even worse than it was in the antebellum slave days. There are more slaves or people incarcerated today than there were slaves in 1865 or 1855. And a startling, utterly disgusting fact I found out is that, and I quote, a black child born today is less likely to be raised by both parents than a black child born during slavery. You're more likely to have been raised by both children during slavery than you are now. And this isn't from just some random news organization, some random headline. No, this is from Michelle Alexander on page 180 in the book, The New Jim Crow. You can fact check it if you want. I gave the page number and the book and the author. You can check it right now. It is on that book. It is more likely to be raised by one parent now. You are more likely to be raised by one parent now than during slavery. Not only is slavery still alive, Jim Crow was still alive. 1 out of every 3 black men today have the felon title. They're now forever disenfranchised for the rest of their life, most likely. And 1/3 of the likelihood as well of being incarcerated if you're a black man is also 1 in 3. If you're Latino, it's 1 in 6. But if you're white, it's about 1 in 20. And we're going to say it's the individual's responsibility. It's not the individual's fault unless it's every single individual in this. Are you going to say it's millions of people's fault that they're now incarcerated? Is it more likely that black people are innately violent and criminals, or is it more likely that the system is doing this and that's the reason why there's more incarcerated? Are we going to say that white people are almost 7 times more likely to be law-abiding citizens than black people? Are we really going to say that? Or is it maybe something that has to do with the institution? And if you want to blame it on black culture, how about Latinos as well? Are you going to say that they are now 3 times more likely to be law-abiding citizens? No. And on the topic of Latinos, they're trying to now do another mass deportation of us. Donald Trump has actively praised Operation Wetback. He didn't say the name, but he was definitely what he was referring to. He was referring to Eisenhower's mass deportation in the 50s, which was called Operation Wetback. They're trying to roll it back so they can deport us all again. They strip our rights when we're in here. And those who try to get a somewhat better life because of just how poor Mexico is, they send them back. And even if you were born here, they're trying to roll that back too. They're trying to make it so that if you were born on U.S. soil, you could lose your citizenship. Yes, they're trying to roll that back. They're trying to make it so that even if you're born in the U.S., you're not necessarily a citizen. They're trying to change that. It's not just mass deportation they're using to oppress us. There's also the border zone. It is an honestly Nazi-like system of Nazi Germany-like abuse of power and rights violations. A great quote I found is that, quote, racial profiling is a reality. It happens all the time, especially in border communities like ours, which is highly marginalized. It's not even a secret. It's just a fact of life. Being racially profiled in the border zone, that's just a fact of life. It's just the way things are. People just saying it's the way things are. It's how defeated they feel. We're going to say America is a beacon of freedom. Yeah, we're going to have so many people not have any freedoms. If you're trans, they're trying to kill you. If you're black, they're trying to incarcerate you and disenfranchise you. And if you're Mexican, they're trying to racially profile you and deport you, as well as incarcerate you. These things are all just normalized basic facts of life. It's as normalized as slavery was. It's nothing wrong. It's just the way things are. You're brought up thinking it's okay. It's that normalized. It's as normalized as the Holocaust was for Germans born then. It's just the way things are. They deserve it. So that's why they're dying. This 0.75% of the population committing seemingly all the crime, they now deserve it. It's now becoming as normalized as that. Trans genocide is the same way, and it's even smaller part of the population. And they're saying that small part of the population is committing it all, using the same exact reasons. Genocide is becoming rationalized. It's becoming normalized in our country. Mass incarceration is normalized in our country. It's been this way for decades. Mass incarceration is normalized. It's a basic fact of life. Having a third of black men be incarcerated throughout their life. Racial profiling is normalized in America today. It is a fact of life for these people. It's not even a secret. It is as normalized as separate water fountains were. And if we don't do something to change it soon, it's just going to get worse. It will get worse. If we don't stand up and change it, Trump is trying to make it worse. He's saying that these trans people are committing child abuse when he allows school shootings to happen and is trying to take away public schooling. He's trying to roll back rights on transgender people. I linked in the description a lot of the legislation he's passed surrounding trans people. It is not good. Trump he is also trying to make the issue with black people even worse. His words say he wants to end mass incarcerations, but his actions don't. He's showing himself to be very pro-war on drugs, which has proven itself to be a fantastic disaster of unbelievable proportions. He's saying he wants to execute the dealers, but he's not asking the questions of why they become drug dealers. He's just saying we should execute them. He's saying that they should all get the death penalty if they're caught. He's not trying to stop the root. If they die, they're just going to have someone take their place. We're not trying to get it at its source. You're trying to beat the symptoms by not treating the disease. Even if he is actually trying to reform it, trying to roll it back a little, trying to make it better. According to Angela Davis, and I quote, "Historically, when one looks at efforts to create reforms, they inevitably lead to more repression. What this means is that when you try and change the system from within, it's not you that changes the system. It's the system that inevitably changes you. They're given time to workshop it and change it. They can just make it a little bit more abstract. They can make it just a little bit better. It should have been from regular slavery to convict leasing and debt peonage. And then when that had to be phased out, they went straight into Jim Crow and getting the handcuffs out. They've been getting the handcuffs out since the 60s. Even Malcolm X has called out the police as just being the KKK without the sheets. In the 60s, he was saying this. And we're still saying it now because it still is the way it is now. And when it comes to Trump on Mexicans, I don't think I really have to say much. He's called us animals using dog whistles. He's called us rapists and criminals. But some of them are good. He's trying to generalize and say that we're all like this because of where we're from. He, as I said before, praised Operation Wetback, which is one of the most disastrous and is one of the most flagrant violations of human rights in all of American history. They were sent home on slave ships. The rhetoric he's pushing as well is that of hatred, trying to build a wall, trying to literally create separation. He is saying that they're all rapists, that they're all animals, to dehumanize us so that he can do whatever he wants to us. And when it comes to Border Patrol, he's not trying to change the system. He's just hiring more people who are going to become corrupt just like them. We're going to be racially profiling just like them. We cannot let him win. We cannot let him get another term. I'm not saying that we need Biden either. I do not like Biden. But it's a choice between anyone else and a dictator. He literally said that on his first day, he's going to be a dictator. If he can admit that, how do we know he's going to give up that power? He admitted that he'll be a dictator. People have said that maybe it's a joke. Why would you drug whistling so serious? On live television, when people are already saying you likely are one. And Project 2025 is trying to instate the next Republican candidate as a dictator, as the one with supreme law over everything. To make sure the executive branch owns supreme power over all the others. And he's trying to target journalists and people who he sees as woke. He's calling them vermin, just like the Nazis did to their proponents. He's targeting his enemies. He's making a separation, saying it's us versus them. He's trying to drag us along so that he can do whatever he wants to keep himself in power. And now this right here, this is your call for action. I need you all to educate. We all need to educate ourselves so we cannot let the past repeat itself, so we cannot let these things stand. I urge you all to look in the description of my sources. And also I will be plugging in multiple different organizations and multiple different things you can watch or listen to help inform you. You can watch the movie 13th. You can continue watching what I post. You can learn about the cobalt trade and coltan trade in Congo, and how you're watching this right now on stolen resources stolen from the Congo. I'll have a few of those linked in the description. If you really want to be an ally, then do something. An ally is supposed to stand with us, not just stand by the wayside, saying that they support us but not doing anything. Try to get involved in your local governments. Vote for those in your local governments, in your school boards. Try to talk to them. Really make a change. Don't just say you want to change and just sit there doing nothing. Inform people. Inform yourself. Because remember, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.